So they're in the ICU, but they're not ICU patients. They're
That's
just
correct.
in the ICU
Yes.
space.
Yes.
But they're being counted as ICU cases and reported on as such.
Yes.
Debbie, we're in Brisbane at the Brisbane Rally. I've just met you, and you've got a bit of a story. So you're a nurse,
Yes.
and what's your story?
My story is that I've been an ED ICU nurse for 30 years, and I stood down from my career in November last year due to the mandates and just the conflict of interest that I was feeling working at an environment with a lot of things that were not adding up, and seeing that the public was being told one thing and what we were experiencing in the hospital was something quite different to that. Like, for instance, in the intensive care where I worked, we had an entire pod area that was set up for all these COVID patients, and we only actually had 6 COVID patients in that entire unit for the 20 months until I stood down. That was the number. So that whole area remained empty, still allocated in isolation rooms, all allocated for very sick and unwell COVID patients, but we never actually got those. And then of course I'm stood down, and but we're still on the channels.
These channels are official channels that you weren't kicked off of after they removed you from the job.
Yes. So and we all of the nurses that work that stood down, we're all in Telegram groups, sharing screenshots of emails and text message communication coming from different hospitals around Queensland, and one in particular that I was working at was where this information came from. I'm in contact with a lot of my colleagues that have also stood down. We're all still involved in the communication channels with the hospital, and then we see that there is a directive that for the COVID management, while there appears to be many people being admitted to the hospital with COVID or Omicron or whatever they want to call it. And now they're suddenly needing more capacity, so they're opening up the ICU beds for these patients who are not necessarily intensive care patients. They're just needing to be put somewhere. They've run out of room on the wards, and these patients need to be isolated from the rest of the population in the hospital, the other patients. Where that becomes interesting is that then those numbers, I was hearing on the media that they were saying there's like 30 patients in ICU, with COVID, but there's a pod of at least 10 to 12, beds of those where those patients may not have actually been ICU patients. They may have been in the ICU, but they're not critical care patients. They're just needing that space. there's been a lot of things like that.
So they're in the ICU, but they're not ICU patients. They're just in the ICU space.
Yes.
But they're being counted as ICU cases and reported on as such.
Yes. And I don't know if that's the media that's doing that or it's the hospital, I don't know. But the fact is that that's what's being told to the general public and creating more fear that everybody's getting sick.
So you've been speaking at marches? Or
Yes. So I stood down in November and I did a post on my social media to just a really heartfelt post to say, I'm out, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. I physically felt a restriction around my throat from just not speaking out and saying what I was seeing, and I felt a responsibility. And then I suddenly got contacted by different people like the Millions March, and then so I spoke at that rally. There was about 15,000 people there, and then I got asked to speak at the Carrara at the Undivided Gold Coast event, which I spoke. And I basically feel like now that this is my job, is to now just bring awareness.
I am alive with every moment. Become the flame that shows us the way. Oh, so sing out your freedom, sing it out loud. 'Cause those who are broken, we're becoming the chosen. So lift up your eyes, 'cause we're not forgotten. And hope will lead us on.
Yeah.
How did you feel after you spoke out? Did the
It was-
restrictions go away?
Yeah, totally. But I felt fear. I definitely felt fear, and especially when I was speaking at the Undivided Gold Coast one. Even when I was on stage, I felt the overwhelming heart racing, and because I was speaking out truths that the public didn't know about. Like only I knew that. If you work in the environment, you knew it, but nobody else knew what was really going on. So speaking that stuff out, and then being surrounded with hoodie and getting opportunities to speak, further afield and on radio and more sort of Zooms. And then I was on another Zoom call, invited on a Zoom call with Dr. Malone and Dr. Zelenko.
Oh, really?
And Dr. Vandenbos, and I just know that there is a responsibility for those that feel that they can have a voice. There's a responsibility. We need to continue to speak out. We need to continue to help people understand what's truly going on so that they can hopefully make the right decisions for their lives and their families' lives moving forward, and we can maintain the love and freedom that we all want in this country.
Good to be back at the Brisbane and Exhibition Centre. This is where I toured Jordan Peterson in 2018, March 2018, starting True Arrow.
Queensland government, hear our voice. And as Australians, we will win. We will win. We will win. We will not lie down and roll over. We will win. We will keep going. We will use every ounce of energy we have got to save our kids. We will save them. We will teach these schools that they are acting unlawfully, illegally.
Yeah, my name's Jake. I'm from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. When I heard about the tragedy in Lismore and the Northern Rivers area, I headed up there and met up with another bloke that I've been down in Canberra with from Warrnambool. He was actually from Warrnambool in Victoria, and we lent a hand out there for a week or two. About a week and a half, and then I've come back up home, to jump on this rally and show my support here in my hometown. But I'm thinking about going back down to Canberra on Thursday and jumping back on the rallies down there and really just trying to hit home our message about freedom and sovereignty and trying to get this belligerent government to stand down, stop hurting us.
For the onlookers, there's a new bill getting passed through Parliament called the Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. If you're interested in your rights and your freedoms, I suggest you read that bill. Our future generations will be living in a communist country with dictatorship calling the shots. Your future generations will not have the right or the freedom to make their own decisions. That's what Australia is turning into. Eastern Europeans come here all the time. They have escaped communism. They are scared. The 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds that come and say, Tricky, Australia is turning into a communist state. This is where we run from. These people have been through it. This is serious. Start taking note of the country, guys.
Lindsay Temple, where are you from?
From Mackay, North Queensland. We're against the mandates, all mandates. There's not enough evidence anymore for the governments to hide behind. We're coming after them. This is not finished. This is only be finished when we say it's finished now.
I begged my mother to let me come here. She wanted to come away. There was one awful day that my family had when we lost our nan as well. I watched my nan try to be resuscitated. This is a blood clot to the heart. We can't trust our government.